Protesters in Bangladesh have stormed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's official residence in the capital Dhaka. Hasina has resigned and fled the country after anti-government protests in which hundreds of people have been killed. The Hong Kong windsurfing team returns home from Paris with a lot of valuable experience and good memories. And in one of the closest finishes ever, Lyles wins the 100-meter gold by 0.005 of a second at the Paris Olympics.
In a dramatic turn of events, the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned and fled the country after a brutal protest yesterday, in which nearly 100 people died. Huge crowds of cheering protesters stormed her official residence in the capital Dhaka. Hasina's whereabouts are unclear, and she's thought to be heading to India. In a broadcast to the nation on state television, Army Chief Waqar Uzzaman said Hasina had resigned and the military would form an interim government. The unrest is still ongoing, and the situation is likely to evolve in the next few hours.
Windsurfers Ma Guangqing and Chen Qingying, who were part of the SAR's Olympic contingent to Paris, returned home this morning. Even though Hong Kong did not win a medal in windsurfing, eager fans were at the airport to welcome the Olympians when they walked out. Ma and Cheng said they are going to take a break for a month first and relish some local delicacies and visit family. They said the Olympic experience was quite valuable and both were looking forward to the national games next year. Compared to the Asian Games, the level of competition at the Olympics was quite different, Ma added, and this will help them better prepare in the future. Cheng said the Olympics has made him mentally stronger and made him calmer when it comes to big competitions. The two athletes hope they can secure a top 3 finish in the National Games, which will be co-hosted by Guangdong, Hong Kong and Macau. Meanwhile, some athletes from the mainland's Olympic team are expected to visit Hong Kong at the end of the month. They will stay in the SAR for 3 days to celebrate China's success at the Paris Games. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Passengers who were overcharged on 4 new territories minibus routes will be refunded starting today. Green Minibus Company Fully Mint Limited, which operates routes 501A, 501C, 501K and 501S, had been charging passengers between 30 cents to $1 more for over 2 months starting from May to July. The Transport Department said the amount was higher than the permitted fare and asked the bus company to refund passengers. Octopus users can claim the refund via the mobile app or at an Octopus service point. Payments done by Alipay have been refunded back to the respective accounts. Those who paid cash can get their refund from the minibus operator at Wong Mun Street Public Light Bus Terminus.
As the MTR network expands further on Lantau Island, train services between Sunny Bay and Tung Chung would stop 2 hours early on October 26th. The rail operator announced the early closure to carry out major track diversion works related to the route's ongoing extension. The last train heading to Tung Chung would depart from Hong Kong Station at 11:07 p.m. on that day. Outbound service from Tung Chung will halt earlier when the last train departs for Hong Kong Station at 11:01 p.m. Service between Hong Kong and Sunny Bay stations will not be affected. MTR will provide free shuttle bus service between the 2 stations during the closure. 4 rail turnouts will be added between the 2 stations, and the job is expected to be completed within 4 to 5 hours. All services will resume as normal the next day, while the airport express services will be unaffected, the company said.
咁我哋睇過咧星期六晚嚟講啦係相對比較少嘅。
Ben Louis, chief of MTR Airport segment, said being a Saturday, the early closure will have the least possible impact on commuters. The 2.5-kilometer extension project, which started in May last year, is expected to be completed by 2029 at a cost of $19.5 billion. The project will see 2 stations added, Tongcheng East and Tongcheng West, which will be the last station on the line once construction work is complete. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
A male police officer has died in an apparent suicide in Chunwan after shooting himself. The incident occurred at around 11:45 a.m. near Mukmin Hachun, where a hiker alerted authorities when he found the injured officer lying next to his service firearm. The officer, believed to be in his 30s, was rushed to Yanchai Hospital but was later pronounced dead. A large police presence has since flooded the scene, and investigators are trying to determine the exact circumstances surrounding the officer's death. The hillside area near Mukmin Hachun has been cordoned off as police search for evidence.
Over 150 people have been arrested amid rioting across the United Kingdom as tensions continue to rise between far-right protesters and police. Fueled by online rumors, far-right groups are targeting asylum seekers across cities in the UK and clashing with whoever is offering them protection. In Rotherham, rioters laid siege to a hotel housing an asylum seeker. Police officers were attacked and couldn't stop the protesters from breaking into the hotel. At least 10 officers were injured, including one who lost consciousness after injuring his head. Protesters also clashed with police on the streets of Middlesbrough. In a televised address, Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the violence and vowed to do whatever it takes to bring these thugs to justice.
There is no justification, none, for taking this action. And all right-minded people should be condemning this sort of violence. People in this country have a right to be safe. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online, and then running away themselves.
He emphasized that the far-right thugs don't represent the country and criminal violence has no place on Britain's streets. An emergency meeting has been convened to quell the unrest.
Asian equities tumbled on fears of a deeper U.S. economic slowdown. Japanese shares were hit hard, exceeding the 1987 Black Monday loss at one point. Japan's benchmark Nikkei closed 12.4% lower at 31,458 points, its biggest one-day drop in more than 36 years. Stocks in Taiwan and South Korea plunged over 8%. As the U.S. unemployment rate rose to the highest level in nearly 3 years at 4.3% in July, worries of a more pronounced slowdown fueled panic selling in the markets around the world. The Hang Seng Index started the week with further losses, losing 1.46%.
A private survey shows that a downturn in business conditions in the city eased in July, but companies in the private sector are still pessimistic about the outlook. The S&P Global SAR Purchasing Managers Index rose to 49.5 in July, scrapping a 3-month downtrend, up from 48.2 in June. However, the gauge remains below the 50 mark for a third month. Any reading above 50 denotes expansion in business activities, while below 50 indicates contraction. Dragged by the subdued market conditions and increasing competition, private sector output declined for a third consecutive month in July, especially in the manufacturing sector. For new business from abroad, the sub-index shrank at a slower and only marginal rate, while the new business from the mainland raised for the first time in the year. Under the slowdown in new order inflows, the volume of backlot work declined, which led to employment levels decreased with lower capacity pressures. According to anecdotal evidence, The phenomenon was underpinned mainly by the non-replacement of job leavers rather than redundancies. Overall sentiment in the city's private sector stayed pessimistic in July, maintaining the period of downbeat assessments for a year. S&P Global Market Intelligence said overall sentiment remained downbeat in July, though the level of pessimism remained less pronounced than the series average, and firms have kept purchasing activities in expansion with the anticipation of future needs. The index compiler also said it would be important to see a turnaround in demand conditions to rejuvenate growth across measures of activities and employment.